Hey everybody, this is Jesus Rodriguez from Youth on Record. I'm a programs coordinator and an audio engineer for the organization. Today we're gonna mix The Day the Dinosaurs Died. So we have the scoring notes and we have the music and the effects and tones that was provided by July. So let's take a listen and hear how it sounds.
Long, long ago, dinosaurs were everywhere. They hunted by the sea and high in the hills. They walked across dry, sandy deserts. They ran through wet, green jungles. For millions of years, the dinosaurs ruled the earth. Now they are all gone. How did they?
Okay, let's start off with gain staging. I'm adjusting the levels of each individual track, and I'm bringing down the volume to -12. So we want the levels to be below 0. 0 is the ceiling, and we want to make that room so we could adjust the levels of each individual track and separate the music, the effects, so they're not all front and center. Now I'm going to solo the audio track and give it a listen.
Long, long ago, dinosaurs were everywhere. They hunted by the sea and high in the hills.
So I'm going to adjust the compressor that was added.
Dry, sandy deserts. They ran through wet.
I'm just tweaking with the ratio.
For millions of years,
I'm going to be doing
ruled the
a
earth.
quicker attack to
Now
let
they are
some of
all
the
gone.
dynamics in.
How did they die?
And
It
the
may
release,
have
I'm
happened
going to
like
leave it the
this.
same.
Tyrannosaurus rex roared. The Dromaeosaurus
Next step is
stopped
to
eating. They
adjust
looked
the
up at
threshold.
Tyrannosaurus rex.
So
One
this is the
Dromaeosaurus
ceiling,
grabbed a
and this
last bite of
determines at what
Edmontosaurus
point
meat.
is
Then
the
the whole
compressor
pack ran.
affecting the original audio.
Tyrannosaurus rex walked
And I don't want
over
to
to the
overly
dead
compress the
Edmontosaurus, and he
vocals. They're
ripped
pretty
out a large
present, so I'm just
bite.
giving it a little bit of boost.
Tyrannosaurus rex watched for other dinosaurs.
So
as
right
he
now I'm
ate.
adding a
He did not want
EQ.
to share his food.
This is going to allow
He
me
looked
to
right and
adjust the
left. He
frequencies
looked
in his
front
vocals.
and in back.
Right now I just
But he
did a
didn't
high
look up
pass
at the
filter and I
sky.
cut some of the
He didn't
lows.
see the strange new light there. It looked like a
Now
very
I'm going
bright
to
star.
take away
It
a
was
little bit of
giant
the
asteroid
lower
who was heading
mids.
toward Earth. The
I
asteroid
added
grew brighter,
some
and it came
mids, but
closer.
I'm just playing around with this, see
Tyrannosaurus
what I need
rex
to
didn't
add, what I need to
notice.
take away.
He just kept eating. Pterodons flew in circles high above Tyrannosaurus rex.
These
They
vocals were
cried out as the light grew brighter.
recorded well, they were
Tyrannosaurus
present,
rex did
so
not even
I'm
look
just
up.
taking away
He
some of the
just kept
frequencies
eating.
that
Soon the asteroid
kind of
blazed brighter
pop
than
out
the sun.
and not
Tyrannosaurus
sound
rex looked up
as
at
good.
last.
So as you
It
can see
was
right
too
now, I'm
late.
like
The
sweeping,
asteroid
I'm
burst into a
bringing up the
ball of
gain
fire,
from the lower
filled
mid
the whole
section
sky.
and
Tyrannosaurus
just finding the
rex
right
roared
sweet
one
spot,
last time.
what sounds good.
Then
You can see the
kaboom.
same thing. I'm sweeping on
Some
the
rocks
mid
flew off into
highs.
space. Most
And I'm
rocks
finding
fell
those
back to
frequencies that
Earth,
kind of pop
burning
out and
as they
then
came.
reduce that area.
The asteroid blasted a giant hole in the ground called a crater. This crater was more than 100 miles wide. The destruction had just begun.
Yeah,
A
with the
wall of
EQ,
fire
you could
sped out
really
from the crater in
change
all
how
directions.
a vocal sounds. So
Thousands of
if you have
miles
a good
away, a herd of
recording, you
Triceratops
don't need to
stood in a
adjust a
meadow.
lot of the frequencies. Minimal cuts are really beneficial.
Long, long ago, dinosaurs were everywhere. They hunted by the sea
So with
and
this
high
session,
in the
I'm using
hills.
mainly
They
stock
walked across
Ableton
dry, sandy
audio
deserts.
effects, but I'm bringing in the Z Noise by Waves. It's a third-party plugin, and this is going to reduce the room noise that
Kaboom.
is present in the audio. So you need to find a section of the audio that is just the room noise, and then
Kaboom.
click the Learn button and
Some
capture
rocks
that,
flew off into space.
and then you could
Most rocks fell
turn
back
up the
to Earth,
threshold
burning as they came. The asteroid blasted
and
a
a little
giant
bit of
hole
the
in the ground called a
reduction.
crater.
and
This
just
crater
find
was
a
more
good
than
balance of
100
where it
miles
takes away the
wide.
room noise
The
but doesn't
destruction had
affect the
just
original
begun.
audio in a
A wall
destructive
of
way.
fire sped out from the crater in all directions. Thousands of miles away, a herd of triceratops stood in a meadow. They had seen a bright flash of light. Now everything looked normal. Still, they sensed danger, but they didn't know where or what.
So
The
now I'm
rest of
adding
the
a
herd ran on.
de-esser. This
The
works
fire
similar to a
spread too
compressor, but
fast.
we're
Soon the
reducing
triceratops had no
sibilance
place
in the
left to run.
audio.
Flames
So the
closed in from
S's
all
and the
sides.
ch
Then
sounds.
another roar rose
So in the
above the
EQ
fire.
section, we're picking a bandpass
A wall of
filter.
muddy water swept in
This
from
is
the
going to allow
distant
us
sea.
to
The
adjust
asteroid had created a
a
giant tidal
specific
wave.
range of
The
frequencies
wave
to
drowned the
reduce
flames,
the
but it also
sibilances in the
drowned the
vocals.
triceratops.
And those
It left
frequencies
everything
live
buried
between
under a
5
thick layer
kilohertz
of
and 8
mud.
kilohertz.
Around
This
the world,
vocal is around
burning rocks
6.
still fell from the
And right
sky.
now I'm
More
adjusting
forest
the
fires
threshold.
blazed. Thick black
I do
smoke filled the
drastic
sky.
adjustments,
Day
and then I
turned
bring it
darker
back
than
up to
night.
find the sweet spot.
Many dinosaurs died in the flames. Others choked on the thick smoke.
So now I'm grouping the
Only a
vocal
few
chain,
survived that first day.
and I'm going to turn it off
They hid from the fires
just to
as
hear
the
the
world
difference
burned.
between
Weeks passed.
the original
At last, the
audio
fires
and
died away.
the effects that I
In the
added.
far north, a few Parasaurolophuses had survived. They had hidden in a deep cave.
So I'm going to unsolo
Many
it
had been
and then
hurt.
hear everything all
All of
together.
them were hungry. The Parasaurolophuses limped slowly out of the cave. The day was dark and cold. Smoke still hid the sun. Ashes covered everything. The other dinosaurs were now only bones.
Now I'm going to start the process of mixing all the elements together. So I'm starting section by section. So I'm soloing individual tracks and adjusting the volumes,
In the hills, they walked across dry, sandy deserts.
going down to
They
the
ran through
effects.
wet green jungles. For millions of years, the dinosaurs ruled the earth.
So with this first
Dinosaurs
track,
were
so I'm going to adjust the pan
sea
parameter,
and high in the hills.
meaning I can move
walked across
the
dry,
original audio
sandy
to
deserts.
the left side
They
or the
ran
right
through
side of the
wet
stereo
green
spectrum.
jungles. For millions of years,
And now I'm
the
mixing, I'm bringing up the volume,
dinosaurs were everywhere. They hunted by the sea.
just making sure everything sits properly.
They ran through wet green jungles. Ruled the earth. Now they are all gone. Dinosaurs were everywhere. They hunted by the sea and high in the hills. They walked across dry, sandy deserts. They ran through wet green jungles. For millions of years, the dinosaurs ruled.
So I'm just
the
adjusting
earth.
every individual track in this section.
They ran through
Moving
wet green
certain
jungles.
sounds to the left side of the stereo spectrum and then certain sounds to the right side, just to open up the middle so the voice could be present and everything lives around it. Right here I'm automating the footsteps. So I'm going to start with having it come from the right side and then slowly drift to the left side. Yeah, this is a great way to bring your effects to life and create that movement in the stereo spectrum.
They walked across dry, sandy deserts. They ran through wet green jungles. For millions of years, the dinosaurs ruled the earth. Now they walked across dry, sandy deserts. They ran through wet green jungles. For millions of years, the dinosaurs ruled the earth. Now they are all gone. How did they die? It may have happened like this. Tyrannosaurus Rex.
So right here, I'm going to turn up the
Now
riser.
they are all gone. How did they die? It may have happened like this. Tyrannosaurus Rex roared.
Just soloing the different tracks and adjusting it, making them louder, making it really have that impact for that next transition in the story.
The Dromios. Now they are all gone. How did they die? It may have happened like this. Tyrannosaurus Rex
Awesome.
roared.
That sounds good. So let's move on to the next section.
They looked up at Tyrannosaurus.
There's a lot of more elements in the music side now. So we're going to solo each individual track, adjust the volume, and mix it all together.
Last bite of
So on this track, I'm going to add a auto pan. This is going to allow me to automatically pan my track. And it's going to go left to right in a subtle way. And I could also adjust the rate to make it faster.
Tyrannosaurus Rex roared. The Dromaeosaurus pack stopped eating. They looked up at Tyrannosaurus Rex. One Dromaeosaurus grabbed a last bite of Edmontosaurus meat.
So I'm adjusting the rate of how fast the panning automation is.
And he ripped out a large bite. Tyrannosaurus Rex watched for other dinosaurs as he ate. He did not want to share his food. He looked right and left. He looked in front and in back. But he didn't look up. Tyrannosaurus Rex roared.
So I'm soloing the brass ensemble track. And I'm going to adjust the volume.
Bite of Edmontosaurus meat. Then the whole pack ran. Tyrannosaurus Rex walked over to the dead Edmontosaurus and he ripped out a large bite. Tyrannosaurus Rex watched for other dinosaurs as he ate. He did not want to share his food. He looked right and left.
So I'm just going down each track and adjusting the volume and adjusting the pan.
Tyrannosaurus as he ate. He did not want to share his food.
So now I'm copying the auto pan and bringing it to another track.
He didn't look up at the sky. He didn't see the
and I'm adjusting the rate and just creating that movement
like a very bright
and creating that ambience that we want to tell the story.
The Dromaeosaurus pack stopped eating. They looked up at Tyrannosaurus Rex. One Dromaeosaurus grabbed a last.
So now I'm going to create an insert return track. And in this track, I'm going to add a reverb. I'm going to adjust the dry and wet knob and bring it all the way up to wet. I'm going to bring up the decay time, turn off the chorus, and turn down the reflect knob a bit.
Tyrannosaurus Rex.
So now in the brass ensemble track, I want to add reverb. So I'm going to use the insert return track and send reverb to the brass ensemble track by adjusting the levels in this section. This is a great way to not directly add reverb to your track, so you have more control of how much reverb you want on the track without affecting the original quality.
Share his food. He looked right and left. He looked in front and in back. But he didn't look up at the sky. He didn't see the strange new light there. It looked like a very bright star. It was a giant.
So now I'm clicking on the volume automation,
toward Earth.
And I'm going to add a slight volume raise towards the end of this track. This is a great simple way to add dynamics and have a sound gradually come up to the front of the mix.
And in back. But he didn't look up at the sky. He didn't see the strange new light there. It looked like a very bright star. It was a giant asteroid. It was heading toward Earth. The asteroid grew brighter and it came closer. Tyrannosaurus Rex. Dromaeosaurus pack stopped eating. They looked up at Tyrannosaurus Rex. One Dromaeosaurus grabbed a last bite of Edmontosaurus meat. Then the whole stopped eating. They looked up at Tyrannosaurus Rex. One Dromaeosaurus grabbed a last bite of Edmontosaurus meat. Tyrannosaurus Rex roared. The Dromaeosaurus pack stopped eating. They looked up. Tyrannosaurus Rex roared. The Dromaeosaurus pack stopped. Tyrannosaurus Rex walked over to the dead Edmontosaurus and he ripped out a large bite. Tyrannosaurus Rex watched for other dinosaurs. Tyrannosaurus Rex walked over to the dead Edmontosaurus and he ripped out a large bite. Tyrannosaurus Rex watched for other dinosaurs as he ate. He did not want to share his food. He looked right and left. He looked in front and in back. But he didn't look up at the sky. He didn't see the strange new light.
So this is the mixing process, just trying to adjust every individual track, trying to place every track right in the stereo spectrum by panning, by adjusting volumes, and really creating the atmosphere for the story that's being told. All right, now that we're done mixing, we can move on to the mastering process.
Long, long ago, dinosaurs were everywhere. They hunted by the sea and high in the hills.
So I'm gonna click on the mastering track and add a glue compressor.
They ran through wet green jungles. For millions of years, the dinosaurs ruled the earth.
So I'm doing slight adjustments with the glue compression,
How did they die?
just adding a little bit more punch and controlling the overall dynamics in the mix.
Tyrannosaurus Rex roared. The Dromaeosaurus pack stopped eating. They looked up at Tyrannosaurus Rex. One Dromaeosaurus grabbed a last bite of Edmontosaurus meat, then the whole pack ran. Tyrannosaurus Rex walked over to the dead Edmontosaurus and he ripped out a large bite.
So the next step is adding a limiter. I'm going to turn up the gain a bit and keep my ceiling at negative 0.30. That ceiling is going to prevent my signal from peaking and causing distortion.
He didn't see the strange new light there. It looked like a very bright star. It was a giant
So my next plugin is going to be the WLM meter from Waves plugins.
And it came closer. Tyrannosaurus Rex did not notice. He just
So this is going to tell me how loud
pterodons flew in
my overall
circles
track
high
is.
above Tyrannosaurus Rex.
My target goal
cried
is
out as the light grew
negative
brighter.
16
Tyrannosaurus Rex did
LUFS,
not even look up.
and
He just kept eating.
my true peak
Soon
max
the asteroid
is
blazed
negative
brighter
1.
than the sun. Tyrannosaurus Rex looked up at last. It was too late. The asteroid burst into a ball
So I'm going
of
to turn on
fire.
the true peak limiter
whole
just to make sure
sky.
If the signal
Tyrannosaurus
passes
Rex
that
roared
negative
one last
1.0, there will be reduction to keep it in that ceiling.
Some rocks flew off into space.
So yeah, I'm liking how it's
Most rocks fell
sounding.
back to
There's no
Earth,
distortion,
burning as they
but it's
came.
loud and it's
The
present.
asteroid blasted a giant hole
So
in the
we're
ground
done.
called a crater.
Last and final step is to export your track as a stereo file. You could do it as a WAV or MP3. Don't forget to name your track correctly and save it in the right location. But yeah, thanks for joining and watching the mix and mastering session of The Day the Dinosaurs Died, brought to you by Youth on Record.